So this is my new buddy Jess. Little trick for puppies: you blow in their nose, most of them will follow you everywhere. Yes. So we were talking a little bit about how puppies learn. A lot of people get frustrated with puppies because the puppy does something great one day and the next day can't do it, something it was doing perfectly the day before. Dogs don't really develop short-term memory until they get a little bit further along in their development. So if you have a dog that seems to be responding well one day and doesn't the next, it's not that it's regressed. It really hasn't had the ability to seep in or have that lesson sink into their long-term memory. So just stick with it. Now, positive reinforcement, yes, is something I always focus on. Now, the way that dogs learn is they kind of go through life probing, waiting to be corrected or rewarded. I'm going to walk down this road, and when I go too far, then somebody will tell me, and then I'll know that is where the boundary or the limit is. Now, what happens typically in human life and with our social cues is we're patient and tolerant with people. So let's say that we have a spouse, and our spouse likes to hum while they chew their food, and it drives us crazy. We hate it. But the spouse is a good person in every other regard, so we overlook it. We turn the radio up a little bit, we clear the table, we take the dog for a walk, we ask the spouse questions so they can't hum because they're talking. It works out great. But then we win a trip and we're driving somewhere to a resort. And on our way to the resort, our spouse stops and gets some gas and gets a giant bag of David sunflower seeds and is chewing and humming while we're driving. And you're like, your tolerance level's going up and up and up and up. It finally gets up to here and you can't handle it anymore and you explode. You're like, oh my God, I love you, but you're driving me crazy with your humming. They don't even realize they're humming. So with humans, we try to be patient and tolerant until we can't take it anymore, then we explode. For dogs, a lot of times we apply the same human psychology to dogs, and it causes problems. Dogs learn through association, and so they assume that whatever they're doing at the time, if you don't disagree, you're cool with. So if the dog, let's say that Jess here is barking, and we just say, well, hopefully it'll pass. We'll just ignore it. Dog keeps barking. We turn the radio up. Okay, we go to the next room. Jess barks, bark, 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 bark. Finally, our tolerance level goes up to here. We can't take it anymore. We're like, Jess, shut up. You're driving me crazy. Careful with your finger. So to Jess is like, what about my 61st bark do you not like? Because you didn't say anything about my 60 barks before then, so clearly you're okay with them. So as a general rule of thumb, when you're disagreeing or correcting or rewarding a dog, you want to do it within a maximum of 3 seconds. Your goal is within 1/3 of a second. Most people don't have an idea of how quickly that, 3 seconds sounds pretty fast. But if you deliver it within 1/3 of a second, it's much, much more effective. So you can also apply this to various things the dog does on its own. I call this passive training. So let's say that Jess comes over and lays down at our feet. Yes, I know I'm restraining you because you're so cute and people at home want to see you. So let's say that Jess comes over and just lays down at our feet. Does Jess have a command for lay down yet? Okay. I like to come up with fun command words because dogs can actually read your human facial expression. If she does something and you laugh, she knows she made you happy. If she does something and makes you unhappy, like we talked about earlier, and you come in and you see she chewed up something and you give her a dirty look, get this. Doesn't mean the dog's guilty or it knows it did wrong. It just knows you're upset. And so I'm not going to look at you and give you eye contact because that would be a challenge. So if the dog comes and lays down at your feet, if you just reach over and start petting her and just say crash, which is the word I like to use for lay down. As soon as the dog lays down, you start petting her and say crash. Well, if it happens within that 3-second window and it happens consistently enough, she's like, every time I lay down, I hear this word crash or the sound crash. And then I get a little mini massage. I like the mini massage. So I associate the mini massage with the word and with the action. So after a while, you say crash, the dog just lays down on her own. So anything your dog does on its own, you can train it to do that on command by simply rewarding it with good timing. Again, 1/3 of a second. Now, as I mentioned a little bit earlier off camera, we want to do it in a calm, consistent tone of voice. We don't want to say crash. We want to say crash. The same way we give the command. This way the dog, because the dogs, they don't hear words, they hear the sound of words. So crash and crash, two dogs sound like completely different words. So baby talking dogs can sometimes confuse them. Yes, 100 miles an hour to 0. And so anything your dog does that you want, that is cute, that you want to train it to, it sits, pet it and say sit. It lays down, pet it and say crash. It comes to you, pet it and say come. Now, when a dog is proud about what it's done, its nose is parallel to the ground or tilted upward. So what I like to do is pet a dog like this whenever possible. See, I'm facilitating that nose up in the air. That's a good, confident body posture. Yes, I know you're getting a little antsy. Is that your way of saying this video is getting a little bit long? It probably is getting a little bit long. So when it comes to dogs learning, it's really important that we have good timing. It's probably one of the most important things we can do. So make sure that if the dog is starting to do something, you disagree immediately. And do it dispassionately. Keep in mind the dog is not chewing up your slippers to piss you off, doing it because it feels good. So, and same thing with rewarding. Within 3 seconds, sit, sit. You can say it a couple times. I used to say sit, sit, sit. Now I just say sit. But if you're going to repeat it multiple times, put a good pause. Sit, sit, sit. So that's how we can use positive, thank you, sweetheart, positive reinforcement and good timing to better communicate with our puppy.